My name is Janet Rutledge. I'm the MLA for Burnaby North. It's an honor to be here today for this important announcement. I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the unceded traditional territory of the Hukawamam and Squamish-speaking peoples who have stewarded this land for thousands of years, and I thank them for making us feel welcome. I would also like to recognize my fellow Burnaby MLAs. I see MLA Raj Chauhan is here. I think MLA Katrina Chen is here, and Kang is here. That's the four of us, the four Burnaby MLAs. I'd also like to recognize that Burnaby Mayor Mike Hurley is here, and I see City Councilors James Wang, Pietro Calandino, and Allison Gu, and Daniel Tetro, and Maita Santiago. I think I got them all. and Sav Dhaliwal as well. I'd also like to thank Richard Fauché and the Burnaby Association for hosting us today. People in Burnaby know all too well the impacts of the housing crisis. Much needed rental homes on the way for people here in Burnaby. And to share more about this announcement, it's my pleasure to introduce the Premier of British Columbia, David Eby.
Thanks so much, Janet. It's great to be here at Philby Courts on the territory of the Coast Salish people, including the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Really nice to be joined by affordable housing champions like Mayor Mike Hurley and Ravi Kahlon, our Minister for Housing, and of course Janet. And I see the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Raj Chauhan, who's of course a local MLA here, who with Ann Kang and Katrina Chen and Janet Rutledge are great champions for affordability and for affordable housing here in Burnaby, and really glad that they were able to join us for the announcement today to see their work coming to fruition. And of course Burnaby Council as well. Don't want to miss the hard-working council behind Mayor Hurley, but I'll leave it to him to recognize all the important municipal work that's been happening here. I think back to when our government announced and opened two new buildings in this development that's behind me here in September. It's wonderful to see it as a growing and thriving neighborhood hub today, and I had the chance to meet Hunter, one of the residents here, just before we came out this morning. And it's wonderful to see the work of the Burnaby Association for Community Inclusion and all of their efforts for what they're doing here in this community, for hosting us today, and for providing such wonderful housing options for folks here in Burnaby. There's no question but that affordable housing is at the heart of thriving community and diverse and inclusive community as well. Unfortunately, too many British Columbians are struggling to find housing that they can actually afford that won't break the bank, especially in fast-growing cities, including right here in Burnaby. Burnaby's been a leader in housing development. They've added new homes faster than the regional average. They've added more non-market rental homes than market rentals in development. And yet, we need to do more together. The stories I've heard from people across the province, including here in Burnaby, are heartbreaking. I met a senior at our housing renters town hall who met with me after and explained to me that she was a teacher, taught a local school, volunteer in the community, pillar of the community. She'd received an eviction notice from her landlord, and she wasn't able to find replacement housing that she could actually afford. She said to me, I can't believe this is happening to me. I never thought this would happen to me. It's stories like this that drive me on this issue, drive our whole government on this issue, our MLAs and local governments. Because for too long, government stepped back from providing the housing that people need. As a result, speculators stepped in, buying and flipping homes for profit at the expense of everyday people who needed to find a place to live. And that failure drove the housing crisis that we're seeing today and has left us with a critical shortage of the housing that we need. That changed when we formed government. We started making different choices that put people before profits. Choices to get more affordable housing on the market faster. We're turning empty units into homes. We're setting housing targets with local governments to meet population growth, and we're fast-tracking provincial approvals. We're protecting renters by capping rent increases, banning illegal evictions, and providing an annual $400 income-tested tax credit. And we're preserving the affordable homes we have through a $500 million rental protection fund. We're seeing the results of these actions. Purpose-built rental construction in this province is at a record high, up six-fold from a decade ago. And more than 76,000 new affordable homes have been delivered or underway, including nearly 4,000 here in Burnaby, with many more to come. I'd like to thank Mayor Hurley and his council for their commitment to building this housing that the community so desperately needs. Burnaby is one of the fastest growing cities in British Columbia, making the demand for affordable housing here among the highest in the province. The past few years have shown us that we're better together, and it's only by working with all levels of government and our nonprofit partners that we can tackle the housing crisis. That's why today I'm excited to announce that we're working with the City of Burnaby and other partners to build about 1,500 new affordable rental homes. This includes some specifically for Indigenous people, seniors facing homelessness, families with low incomes, and people living with disabilities. One development will also have a childcare center, because we know that finding affordable childcare for some families can be as hard as finding affordable housing. These homes will help protect and promote the diversity that makes Burnaby such a great place to live. 3 of these developments are already under construction, and 3 more will get started later this year. I'd like to thank everybody who's come together to make these homes possible, and this list really illustrates how we're working together. The City of Burnaby, BC Housing, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, Fraser Health Authority, and 5 nonprofit housing providers operating these developments: Catalyst, the New Vista Society, Success Affordable Housing Society, Macola Housing Society, and the Progressive Housing Society. This is what partnership and progress looks like. I look forward to standing out front of one of these new developments in a couple of years to announce even more housing in Burnaby, because the need for affordable housing, we know, will only grow as our communities continue to grow. We need to keep looking for solutions and partnerships going forward. I just got back from a trade mission to Japan, Korea, and Singapore, where I met with housing officials in each of these countries to learn about their solutions to the housing crisis. There's no question but that we can learn from what's been happening in these countries and incorporate their learnings into what we're doing here in British Columbia, and I look forward to doing so, because no matter where you choose to live, an affordable home in a safe, welcoming community is key to building a good life. For that Burnaby senior I met at the Renters Town Hall, and for so many others in our province, together with our partners, we're going to keep working hard to deliver the homes and create the communities that everybody deserves. Thank you very much, and congratulations to everyone involved in this important announcement today.
Thank you, Premier. I'm proud to be part of a government that is taking strong action to tackle the housing crisis. Next, I'd like to welcome the Minister of Housing, Ravi Kahlon, to share more details about this partnership. Minister?
Appreciate it. I'm waiting for the podium to readjust here. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Janet. And I too want to acknowledge that we're on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish people and recognize Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And I also want to recognize my Burnaby colleagues, my Janet, Raj, Anne, and Katrina Chen, and of course the amazing Burnaby Council team that is here today. Also Richard Fosher and the Burnaby Association for Community Inclusion for hosting us today. British Columbia is a great place to live, but too many people are facing big challenges right now. As our population and our housing market evolves, so do our challenges. The stories I hear from people who are facing housing insecurity are very concerning. And these stories are what motivate our government to do the work that we're doing every single day. Because people should not have to leave their community because of lack of affordable housing options or unreasonably high rents. It's simply unacceptable. All British Columbians, whether they're seniors, young families, or people living with disabilities, deserve to have peace of mind and have an affordable home that they can call home. When our government took office, we made a historic investment in housing, $7 billion over 10 years. Budget 2023 commits an additional $4.2 billion over the next 3 years. That is the largest 3 years of investment in BC's history. But after decades of underfunding, we're now just starting to see those investments in housing come online for people. We have accomplished a lot, but lack of affordable housing is still a serious issue across the province. That's why we've developed the Homes for People Housing Action Plan. This action plan helps to meet this important moment, to tackle the housing crisis challenge head on and deliver more homes for people faster. This action plan brings forward important steps to unlock homes for the people that we need now, but it cannot be fulfilled by one government alone. This challenge can only be addressed through partnership with community organizations and all levels of government. That's why I'm so pleased that the City of Burnaby is partnering with us to develop new affordable homes here in the community. Of the nearly 1,500 new homes we're announcing today, 305 units are at 3 developments that are expected to start construction in late 2023. 790 units are at 4 major housing projects that are currently working collaboratively with Burnaby on to move forward. And 390 units are under 3 developments that are currently under construction and expected to be complete by 2025. Provincial funding for those projects was provided to ensure that they remain on track and that rents continue to remain affordable, so that families, seniors, and individuals with wide ranges of incomes can afford to stay in a community like Burnaby and call this place home. I would like to thank Mayor Hurley and the City of Burnaby and our not-for-profit development partners for their amazing collaboration to ensure that this project and projects like this can continue to happen. This could not have been possible without them. These are the kinds of options that we need to see in communities throughout this province. And again, I want to say, Mayor Hurley, thank you so much. Councillors, thank you so much for your commitment. And it's a fantastic day to be here today in Burnaby. 1,500 new homes, $253 million. It's a good day. So thank you so much for having me. Thanks,
Thank you, Minister. And thank you for your leadership in bringing everyone together to build more homes than ever for the people of British Columbia. Next, I'd like to welcome Mike Hurley, Mayor of Burnaby, our major partner in this announcement, to share his remarks. Mayor?
Good afternoon. Still morning, I think, isn't it? But good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us here today. I would like to acknowledge that we are in the unceded and traditional territories of the Hunkaminam Squamish-speaking peoples, and to give appreciation for the opportunity to hold wonderful events like this on this territory. And I would be very remiss if I didn't take the time to introduce the council, who are all so committed to rental and affordable housing in our city. And we know this is a huge challenge, but we have certainly moved every post that we can to ensure that this is going to happen in our city. Councillor Pietro Calandino, Councillor Sop Dalawal, Councillor Allison Gu, Councillor Richard Lee, Councillor Maita Santiago, Councillor Daniel Tatro, and Councillor James Wang. I'm not sure if Joe Keithley's here, but he certainly is a big supporter of our programs. Thank you, Premier Eby, Minister Kalon, and Janet Rutledge for taking the time to be here today and for sharing your words in this great announcement this afternoon. It's hard to believe that 4 years ago, we launched the Mayor's Task Force on Community Housing in Burnaby. It was a comprehensive community-driven project that was aimed at finding ways to address housing affordability in our growing city. It was a big undertaking, but the task force generated real, meaningful actions for our city to take in order to tackle affordability. And we're starting to get there. One of the key themes that emerged from the task force was to invest in housing partnerships. And today, I think we're seeing the start of a real delivery on that theme. And when we talk about partnerships, we mean true partnerships, and that's what we're seeing today. The creation of new affordable homes for families, seniors, and individuals continues to be one of the top priorities for our community. And that's why we're extremely pleased to work together with our provincial partners, along with all the other partners, to deliver the type of housing that our community desperately needs. The investment we are announcing today will help create nearly 1,500 units of affordable housing in Burnaby, continuing to build on the momentum that we have established over the last 4 years. In fact, in Burnaby, there are now more non-market rental units in development than market rentals. And that doesn't even include the units proposed through our city's various master plans, which include over 6,000 non-market rental units. It's a sign that our approach to developing affordable housing and pursuing partnerships is paying off for Burnaby residents. Our work doesn't end here. We look forward to continue to work closely with our local MLAs, as well as the Minister and his staff and the Premier, to find more areas for partnerships. And we look forward to delivering on all the work that we started out, and passionately, I think our council has worked towards these ends. So thank you all again for taking the time to be here today, and we look forward. There are 3 of those buildings under construction, and I always say I like to see shovels in the ground, and we have 3 more hopefully starting by the end of the year. And really that is what delivering is all about, is seeing people actually moving in to these buildings. So thank you once again for all being here today. Wonderful announcement, and we look forward to really making a big difference in affordability in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you for your persistent advocacy on behalf of the people of Burnaby. Really appreciate it. I would now like to introduce Rochelle and Hunter Goldstein, who are going to talk about their experience finding housing in Burnaby.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having Hunter and I today. We are honored to be here today to talk about the pressing issues that affect countless of families in our province. Affordable housing for individuals with disabilities. I'm Hunter's mom. He's 20 years old. For myself, ensuring a safe, comfortable, and inclusive living environment for Hunter is of utmost importance. This is what the Burnaby Association for Community Inclusion has been able to offer Hunter and myself here at Philby Court. Affordable housing for Hunter is more than just financial accessibility. It's a means of providing suitable accommodations that address his unique needs, fostering independence, and fostering a sense of belonging within our community. Hunter's lived here at Philby Court for a year now. I have seen him mature, become adaptable to change, and our relationship has grown. He doesn't see me as just his care provider anymore. We now have a more traditional parental relationship. We get to go out and have a good time together. Hunter's sister and extended family have also seen this growth. I often hear how happy Hunter is these days. This year has marked a few milestones for Hunter. One of them was that he was able to host his own birthday party here at his house. This location has also been outstanding for us, as the proximity is close to where he went to high school, where his friends and extended family live. Affordable housing for individuals with disability is a matter of dignity, independence, and equality. It's about recognizing their rights, providing them with opportunities they deserve. I believe with the announcement today and seeing all the work that everyone is doing, it gives every individual with a disability to have access to safe, affordable, and inclusive housing, empowering them to live their lives to the fullest. Thank you for the time that we've taken today to learn how valuable a home here at Philby Court has been to Hunter and our family.
Thank you, Rochelle, and thank you, Hunter, for sharing such a powerful, meaningful story with us. Well, that concludes our event, and we'll now take questions from media.
Thank you for joining us today. We have members of the media here in person and many members of the media online as well. For those on the line, please press *1 to enter the queue, and you'll be added to the queue to ask a question. All members of the media will be limited to one question and one follow-up. We're going to start on site today with Zara Premji from CBC News. Go ahead, Zara.
Hi, yes, this question is for you, Premier. Two questions for you, of course. My first one, this is progress, as many people are calling it, right? Progress in our province, progress in a city that's growing. What next, though? I mean, you said 3 right now, 3 later. It's not still going to house everyone that's looking for affordable rental, affordable housing in general. What are those next steps? What can people expect in the coming years?
Thanks for the question. We know that the need for affordable housing is urgent for people across the province, and this includes housing for middle-income people. We're just looking for a place to live for themselves, for their families, close to work. It's in the communities where they work, where their kids go to school. So it's a huge priority for us. That's why we updated our housing plan. Minister Kahlon and his team led the work around that. In terms of homelessness, identifying those feeders into homelessness, people leaving hospital, people leaving care of government, youth in care, and introducing new programs to get them housed right away to make sure that they don't end up in shelters or on the street, building new housing quickly to respond to the urgent needs of people living below the poverty line in our province. But in terms of middle income families, new initiatives, including working with local governments to set housing targets, speeding up our provincial approvals processes to make sure that housing isn't held up by the province, that we're able to get shovels into the ground, and new initiatives that are being developed right now by the minister and his staff, including BC Builds, constructing housing that's more affordable for working middle-income British Columbians. There's a number of initiatives. No one initiative is going to solve all the problems. Today's announcement, 1,500 units of housing, partnerships with the federal government, with local government and nonprofit service providers, a great announcement. We know this isn't the full solution. So it's going to take all of us working together to address this issue because it's a priority certainly for our government, and it is for the government here in Burnaby. And we're very glad to be working with them today on today's announcement.
And Zara, do you have a follow-up question?
I do, thank you. This question is for my colleagues who are in Surrey right now. Different topic, of course. The president of the Sikh Gurdwara was killed last night on temple grounds at a busy time. Can we get your reaction to that news? And do you have any concerns regarding foreign interference since he claimed he was facing threats for his political views?
Well, you know, I think like many people in Surrey and many British Columbians, I'm profoundly disturbed that somebody was murdered in our community on the grounds of a place of worship and in front of many witnesses. It's very disturbing to me that this could have happened in the community of Surrey. I have confidence in the police to be able to investigate and determine who committed this heinous crime in our community and to ensure we hold them accountable. That's a priority for them and for government. And anyone who has any information that they're able to share with police about the incident, I encourage them to do so so that we can get the individuals responsible for this off the street.
Our next question is going to come from Aaron MacArthur from Global News. Go ahead, Aaron.
This might be a question for you, Premier, or maybe the Mayor of Burnaby. The Canadian Rental Index says overcrowding. I'll grab that mic. Overcrowding is one of the big issues when it comes to rental accommodation. People forced into unsuitable accommodation, sharing accommodation to reduce costs. Is there anything cities can do or the government can do to mandate other types of housing, laneway housing, secondary suites, that sort of thing?
We're doing, one of the things that we've seen in British Columbia is that our province is the place to be. We're attracting a lot of new residents from across Canada and from around the world to British Columbia. Our population grew by about 250,000 people over just the last couple of years. So we've been working with the federal government, for example, to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place to respond to that population growth, which includes housing. Part of the work that we've been doing with local governments is around making sure that they understand what the housing needs are in their community, doing housing needs studies to anticipate demand before it happens, to make sure that their community plans are keeping up with that, supporting them with a $1 billion grant this year to build essential infrastructure in their communities to make life interesting and fun, to respond to this population growth, new sports fields, water treatment initiatives, sewer pipes, you name it, whatever's required in the community at the direction of the local government. And for rental housing, we know we need a lot. And so making sure that we have the processes in place in the provincial law so that municipal governments can act with the speed they know they need to act with, whether that's around processes they're required to go through under provincial law, public hearings, and so on, to make sure that those are expeditious, that they happen quickly, and the housing can get built quickly. We're currently in discussions with the Union of BC Municipalities around initiatives related to our housing plan that relate to local government processes around approvals, official community plans, and allowing more than one unit, for example, on single-family lots across the province. So that work is underway with Minister Kalon's team, and it's important and essential work for us to be able to deliver the housing that we need. I'll invite Mayor Hurley up to speak about the specific situation in Burnaby and how they're responding with their rental initiatives.
Thank you, and you're absolutely right. There's a dire need for more action on rental housing and affordable rental housing. And right now on the books in Burnaby, we have 13,000 rental units that are online or are in the act of being built right now. And almost 9,000 of those are going to be affordable rentals from Burnaby's perspective, which is 20% of the CMHC average for the area, which gives you about 60% the cost of rent that would be charged by landlords. So you know, we are doing the work that it takes, and I think we're going in the right direction. But let's face it, we had 30 years of non-action on rental homes and especially affordable rental homes, and now we're all playing catch up, and we're working as hard as we can, certainly in our city along with our council, to ensure that we can deliver on the rentals that are so badly needed in our city.
And Aaron, do you have a follow-up question?
For the Premier on Surrey policing. According to Mayor Locke, neither you nor Minister Farnworth has had any discussions with the city since last Thursday, considering sorry, let me read this. Is the province changing the goalpost on Surrey policing, considering it's a council decision?
Well, certainly I have significant anxiety about the situation related to policing in Surrey. We have a scenario where the local government first decided to go to a local police force, which the province supported, worked with them on a plan, and they began that important transition work. And a new council came in and decided now they would like to go back to the RCMP, which obviously not ideal, but the province said, okay, we'll work with you. And the Solicitor General issued a set of conditions to make sure that his statutory duty was fulfilled. And that statutory duty should be intuitive to people in Surrey and all across the province. His responsibility is to make sure that when someone picks up the phone and dials 911 when they're in a crisis, that a police officer, whatever the badge, responds. So the Solicitor General set out a number of conditions that Surrey would have to meet to go back to the RCMP to make sure that a police officer would respond. The City of Surrey, as I understand it, prepared a report about how they would meet those conditions and then voted on that report. The challenge is they are not sharing that report with the province. The Solicitor General has to fulfill that duty. He has to ensure that the people of Surrey will have adequate policing service. The content of the report, as we understand it, is how Surrey intends to meet those conditions that were imposed by the Solicitor General. Without that information, he can't fulfill that responsibility, which is a commitment to the people of Surrey that the police will be there for them when they need it. And that there won't be impacts of Surrey's back and forth decisions on communities neighboring Surrey or on policing in the province generally. It's incredibly important work. We need a strong partner at the table with Surrey about this delicate situation. And part of that strong partnership means sharing the information. Mr. Farnworth and his team spent the weekend trying to get a copy of this report from the City of Surrey. It is essential for him to be able to make the decisions he has to make. And he set out a requirement, as I understand it, to the City of Surrey that they need to provide that report to the province so that he can do his work. Those goalposts haven't changed. They've been the same every time. And to meet the goal that we all have of delivering effective policing in the city of Surrey, Surrey needs to ensure and reassure the province, let us know what the plan is to make sure that that police officer is there to respond every single time.
Great, and we're just going to the phone line right now. Our next question is going to come from Wolf Deppner from BC Today. Pardon me, Wolf from Glacier News. Black Press. Go ahead,
Somewhere
Wolf.
in the province.
Thank you for taking my question. Question to the Premier. Premier, we're coming up to the 1 p.m. deadline that Minister Farnworth has set out in a statement this morning. What, if any, update can you share about whether the province has received that report from Surrey yet?
So as of the last update I received, the province had not even received a copy of the non-disclosure agreement that Surrey wants us to sign, let alone a copy of the report. So I'm hopeful that the team at the City of Surrey is working on that to get that information over to the Solicitor General so that he can do his work of making sure that police are there for the people of Surrey throughout any decision that the City of Surrey Council moves on.
And Wolf, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, I do. Thank you. And this is on housing. So we have a new report came out today that looked at rental costs in British Columbia, and they went up by 30% between 2016 2021. You talked about some of the initiatives underway, that are currently underway when it comes to improving the rental housing supply. What is your message, though, to British Columbians who see these figures and they see a disconnect, perhaps a disconnect, or they might see a disconnect between rising rental rates and the promises that are currently out there? What is your message to British Columbians who are sort of concerned about the long-term trajectory here when it comes to housing costs?
Well, the basic message to British Columbians who are struggling with housing affordability, and we know that they're out there, is from me, from our government, that we stand with you. Every single unit of housing that's sitting vacant, we are working to bring that housing online to provide a home for you. Every single opportunity around provincial or municipal processes that are holding up housing, we're getting them out of the way. Every opportunity we have to use public funding to deliver affordable housing, we are deploying that funding today alone, $250 million right here in Burnaby. And we are advocating with our partners in government, local and federal, about prioritizing this. Indigenous partners, identifying every scrap of land that is provincially owned or in the hands of public agencies to find opportunities to build housing that's more affordable. Looking at direct development of middle-income housing for British Columbians in every corner of the province where the province is actively involved in simply building the housing that we need on publicly owned land to bring down the cost. Every rock that we can turn over to find an opportunity to build housing in this province, we're doing it. And we know there's a lot of work ahead, but we are dedicated to this issue because homes are for people, and that's what we're wanting to build.
Our last question for the day will come from Sophie Chavant from Radio-Canada. Go ahead, Sophie.
Yes, hello, hi. I do have a question for Premier. I'd just like to have a follow-up about the Royal BC Museum and the leaving of Alicia Dubois. What is your reaction in that time around uncertainty about the future of the museum and the controversy around the renovation project?
Thanks. Well, this is a time of renewal for the Royal BC Museum. Decisions about how we ensure the protection of the priceless heritage of the people of British Columbia, as well as respect our commitments around reconciliation and our relationship with Indigenous people in this province. It's certainly a challenging piece of work, but it's also exciting and important work. I'd like to thank the CEO for her work on this during her time with the museum and wish her the best of luck in her future projects. And also to let British Columbians know that there are exciting things happening at the museum right now. Old Town is reopening this summer, and the dinosaur exhibit I hear is going to be something else. So if you're looking for an adventure with the family, it's a good time to go. And that longer term work of what the museum is going to be and how we're going to deliver what the role of the museum is in British Columbia into the future, in partnership with Indigenous people. That work is underway.
And Sophie, do you have a follow-up question?
Do we have any schedule for the renovation projects that have been put on the ice?
I'm sorry, did you catch that?
Do we have any schedule about like the renovation project that has been put on the ice?
Thank you, Sophie. No, we don't have a revised timeline on that. The museum team is engaging with British Columbians across the province on the future of our museum and the best direction going forward. And we have more information about that. We'll share it. In the interim, the work on the collections building and the archives building to make sure that the precious history of our province is protected from flood, from damage, continues. And that collections building will not be held up by this process.
We're going to squeeze in one more question from Rob Shaw from Czech News. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, hi, Premier. Sorry about dropping off the line there. Just wanted to ask you about the toxic overdose death numbers out today. They sort of paint a mixed picture in the sense we are up in the number of deaths so far this year, but down in the number in May. And huge statistics there that people are quite concerned about. What do you make of those numbers, and can they tell us anything about our success or lack thereof on the overdose crisis?
Well, the numbers to me reflect that we're still very much in the grips of this public health crisis. Too many families, too many British Columbians are being directly affected, losing a loved one or being injured profoundly by toxic drug overdose. We obviously have a lot of work ahead of us and continued work ahead of us to deal with this crisis. And in particular, I share the anxiety of people. I mean, I think of my own kids at home and the dumb decisions that I made myself in high school, and how easy it would be to lose a loved one in this time when people think they're taking one drug and end up taking another drug and end up dying or seriously injured. I've talked to too many parents who have lost kids. And one of the things that I saw in the coroner's report is toxic cocktails of drugs killing young kids in our province. And we know there's a disproportionate representation of Indigenous kids among those young people who are dying. I talked to chiefs in Prince George and community members in Williams Lake about people who have died and the tragic impact that has on their communities. We have a lot of work ahead of us, and we're going to keep doing what we can around ensuring that the money's there for treatment and intervention. The expansion of Foundry programs has been significant. The new Foundry program in Williams Lake, very welcomed when I was visiting up there just on Saturday. And we've got $1 billion in money for drug treatment across the province to open even more beds to give people a chance to recover from addiction. And housing is part of that as well. Supportive housing across the province, complex care housing. We're going to keep doing this work, and we need the help and support of all British Columbians to be able to respond to this public health crisis as we move forward.
And Rob, do you have a follow-up question?
Sure. There's an 8% number of youth deaths that include a low level of hydromorphone, and that's the BC United Party's out this morning talking about safe supply once again, contributing to a use in drugs and a use in addictions, and it can have that effect. Do you have any concern about the policies on safe supply right now, and does any of this give you any concern or pause?
Absolutely critical, and it was where you got audio. Okay, sounds different for me. Sounds okay. I think it's absolutely critical when we respond to a public health emergency that we're able to rely on the advice and information of public health professionals and experts in this area. So we look to frontline addictions physicians to be able to make those decisions about the best response for the patient in front of them to keep that person alive and give them a chance to get into treatment. We look to leadership from Bonnie Henry and public health officials about our best direction. I have asked and confirmed that they continue to stay on top of the research that's coming out about our various initiatives to ensure they're having the effect we want, which is keeping people alive, separating them from predatory drug dealers, and getting them in front of a nurse practitioner, physician that's able to connect them with the services that they need. There are no easy answers in this crisis, and we're going to keep doing that work with public health officials to respond to the crisis as best we can.
That's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us, everyone.